Welcome to the show that has it all. This is the Betfred Super League.
What a game!
Champions, challengers, newcomers, leagues faithful. Hold on tight. This is the Betfred Super League 2024. There's nothing like league.
Yeah. No! Got me here. It took a big chunk out of me. Bleeding. It's bleeding. Oh no, it's bleeding. The thing just ripped my ear off. What do you think?
Hello there, it's time for another half an hour of rugby league chat with me, Eddie, and him, Stevo, in the latest Eddie and Stevo, the podcast, here with the support of our good friends and sponsors of the game, Betfred. Now, last week, we both enjoyed our reunion chat with our former mates at Sky. Hope you did as well. We all got together around the table for the first time in 8 years. This week, though, it's back to normal. And, Stevo, we've got 3 rounds to go to the playoffs. So let's start with this incredible race for those playoff places. Friday, arguably the biggest game of the season so far. Wigan in second, entertaining Hull KR, who are top. A League Leaders' Shield decider, surely.
Well, it looks that way. It's an exciting, shall we say, the last 3 weekends. But you've got to say that Wigan and Hull Kingston Rovers, they've been the form team. I suppose in many ways the Rovers have been better than Wigan, due to injuries and things like that. But this will be the real test. This will be the time where Hull Kingston Rovers will feel confident, and if they can beat Wigan on their own patch, it's going to be difficult to stop them.
Very much so. They're playing really well. Wigan will be happy it's at home. They had the great win in Perpignan. Bevan French is back as well. I wonder, Steve, he seems really important to Wigan, does Bevan French, doesn't he?
Oh, he's a key player. I mean, he's the guy that comes up with the good passes. If you're one of the best, you go and ask Alex Murphy. They tried and tried and tried, and every now and again they caught him. They tried to put him off his game.
Well, they're definitely trying to put Mikey Lewis off his game, and that's the worry that Willie Peters has got coming into this match at Wigan. He says he comes up with a fat lip or a swollen eye, things that have been done in the tackle that have never been seen. He says, I'd like the officials to be able to keep an eye on that. This is ducks and drakes from Willie Peters, isn't it? He's putting the pressure on the man in the middle right now.
Eddie, I'm telling you now, that is a smart move by the coach to make sure that all the merry whistleblowers pay attention. And, of course, he'll get a smack here, there and everywhere. Sometimes it's deliberate, and a lot of times it's accidental.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, their win against Salford was a blow to Salford's playoff hopes, but Salford, they could make it, and they've had great news this week, by the way, Steve. Salford Council are going to buy the stadium. It's a real boost for the club. They're settled there now. There's no, will they be moving out? Will the sales sharks get shut of them? Will Salford Council buy the stadium? The answer is yes, they will. That's great news for them.
Oh, it is. That's great news, Eddie, for rugby league in general. When you get a council that can look after all the upkeep, all this, that, and the other, and change it to, if they get more supporters, they could add on this, that, and the other, and that's the move forward that we want. And wouldn't it be great if every single council got behind the rugby league team? Because we struggle for money, Eddie. We struggle to get finances, not just to buy players, but to keep the upgrade and the upkeep of the stadium.
And Salford 5th in the table. They're a successful little club. There's no doubt about that. And I say little with all due respect. They're 2 points clear of the team in 6th. They've got a visit from Catalan on Saturday evening. A win, I think that would just be about the end of the Dragons' hopes, and it would really boost theirs, don't you think?
Yeah. Catalan have to win. It's as simple as that. And I'm not so sure that they'll find it, they'll be all that confident either. Because we come into the stage where, it's important how you finish in the league table. And that's perhaps the reason why that Warrington coach has gone ballistic about the fact that one of his players was sent off for what he thought was not a red card.
He was very, very upset. Oliver Trout, I think he thinks, appeared to run straight into Paul Vaughan, who, by the way, has been banned for 3 matches, and his appeal on Tuesday night failed. So he's out now until Warrington get going in the playoffs. There looked little to me that he could do about it. Sam Burgess pretty upset, as you say, after the match. Now, listen to what he said. He said he thought it was embarrassing. We've seen play acting. There were players out there say, stay down, because they knew what was coming. It'd be looked at. But if that was a red, honestly, he says, I don't know what we're doing. The referee put a player on report later on in the game. Why not players on report? Because if that decides a grand final, we'll all want a refund on the year. Now, he said that before the appeal and before the disciplinary committee met. They think, obviously, it was a pretty rough thing because they said it was a high end of the grading of the offence. But the bottom line is Paul Vaughan will not play for the next 3 weeks, and he'll only come back in the playoffs.
Well, it's going to be difficult for them, and I can understand, Sam's attitude towards it. How often do we see it when a man that's playing with the football will seem to dive rather than and run into a tackle? But once again, they would have looked at the videos and they would have said the arm was raised high and enough to hit in the face. And look, it's been going on for years. It's difficult for an official to decide was he dipping into it or did they. The thing is that you've just got to make sure that your arm does not make contact with anything above the shoulders, which is the rules.
Yes, it is the rules. I understand that. I suppose Sam was upset because, apart from anything else, they lost against the Lee Leopards. He insists, though, they won 12-10 after going down to 12 men. But they've lost to Lee Leopards, which means that they will not, I don't think they'll win the League Leaders' Shield now. In fact, I think it's an impossibility for them. But they might finish second. And, of course, if they finish second, they get a home tie. If they finish third, they get a home tie in the first round. But then in the semis, they have to travel to either Wigan or Hulkingston Rovers. Hence the reason why he's a bit upset.
Well, it would have been furious. I mean, he's a Dewsbury boy, born and bred. And they often get furious about things like that. I can understand the situation, but coaches throughout the years, Eddie, have had to put up with this. A lot of people, including myself, I always found it very, very difficult to remember that a referee is a human being. But the thing is, they come up with errors. But at the appeal, it was proved to be correct.
Yes, and it wasn't deemed to be a frivolous appeal because they risked that. And had that been the case, he'd have been out for 4 matches now. Anyway, let's see how Warrington get on without him this weekend. I mean, the top 3, Stevo, is sorted. In what other order, we don't know yet. Hull KR, Wigan, Warrington, they're in the playoffs. The rest's all to play for. Salford, Saints, Lee, Catalan and Leeds. Now, we talked about Salford Catalan on Saturday. Salford beat them. Leeds, the door is open, isn't it, for them? Because they got another 1 point, golden point decision against the London Broncos at the weekend. And they are back in the mix, 100%.
Yeah, it was a great game to watch, Eddie. Obviously disappointing as far as the Broncos were concerned. In extra time, golden point time, and they had the opportunity with 3 attempted field goals before Leeds actually got to get the final one, which gave the Rhinos the win. So they had the opportunity. One of those kicks hit the post and bounced out. The other one afterwards hit the crossbar and bounced out. So it could have been a win for the London side, but as you say, Leeds have got this wonderful ability. You've only got to go back a few years, Eddie. I think they finished 5th and won the grand final.
They certainly did. They certainly did. So you can't write them off if they get into the playoffs, even in a lowly position like 5th or 6th. I can see and I can understand the frustration of London. You know, another point disappears. 2 now this year, Stevo, lost on golden point to Leeds, and Brodie Croft doing the trick again. What difference would those 2 points mean to London Broncos? Because they're sitting bottom as they do now. But if they'd have got the 2 points for a draw, I know we've got the golden point these days, but they'd have been given the points for a draw, they would have been 2 points clear of Hull. They would have been off the bottom of the table. You know, they deserve an immense credit for the way they've battled this year against what everyone says is inevitable relegation. But there they are, 2 golden points for Leeds, 2 bronze points for London, and it looks like they're going.
Well, it appears that way. The sad part about it all is that the London Broncos virtually knew that they were going to be relegated, irrespective of what position they finished in the league table, because the IMG situation has made it virtually impossible for them to remain in Super League. And it didn't surprise me that Jack Hughes, who plays for the Broncos, came out on X and has made it quite clear. And he says, look, it's up to you now. Let us know. Do you want us or do you want us to get rid of us? Simple as that.
He said in his tweet, there's your chance, IMG and the RFL. Do you want us or not? It's in your hands. Make the right call. A far better team today against the most recognised team in the UK. Basically, he's asking a simple question, Stevo. Do you want a team in London or not? And the RFL and IMG have said all along, well, they do want a team in London, but it looks like they're going to be thrown to the wolves.
I really feel that well done to Jack, because he's just asked a question that I want to know, that you want to know, that anybody involved in rugby league, the most important are the fans. They want to know. But once again, silence seems to be golden.
Well, I'm going to come on to IMG and the conundrum we've got about them in a moment, Stevo. But let's just finish our chat about the top 6. I just wonder, you know, St Helens back on the horse at Huddersfield, Hull, KR, Wigan, Warrington in the playoffs, that's confirmed. Saints, Salford, Lee, Catalan and Leeds hoping to join them. Which three are going to make up the top 6 with the top 3 that are there now?
Saints, Salford and Lee.
Oh, you're discounting Catalan.
Yep.
They've been through the horrors this year, haven't they? Bernard Gouache is threatening to make changes. I wonder why they've suddenly fallen off the perch this year.
Well, it could be a combination of the fact that there's not as many youngsters being blooded to take over from what you have to look at their team list, is that there's quite a few older players there.
And quite a few went, actually, didn't they, before the season started? And quite a few are going at the end of this year.
That's right. They're virtually having a clear out. And when you get to that point, it's very difficult to start winning on a regular basis, because you're virtually, a lot of the players realise, and whether they've been told that they're not wanted for next season, either way, players just say, I want to know, do you want me for next season? And I don't know, a lot of clubs just say, well, no. Other clubs say, well, if you play well over the next few weeks, maybe we'll talk about it. It's a difficult situation, because you can only have so many overseas players. And that's an invidious situation that the Catalan side will always have to sort of get over. And that's not easy.
No, the players want a bit of certainty. The game needs a bit of certainty. And as I say, we're going to talk IMG in a minute. But before we do, transfer news. You mentioned the older players on Catalan's register and the older players around the game in general. Hull are reported to have hijacked Leeds Rhinos for the signing of Jordan Rapana, the New Zealand international, on a 2-year deal. Stevo, Rapana is 35. Are Super League clubs obsessed with signing NRL veterans, do you think?
It's been going on for years. It's certainly not something new. Way back, when I read that, Eddie, I was thinking to myself, I'm 77, and I just pushed it to one side. I thought maybe I'll ring Hull and say, maybe you want an old-fashioned, bald-headed, fat hooker.
I think you get a contract.
Doing what?
Well, that's the question. Maybe just, I don't know, standing in the middle, bending your back, and I don't know, Steve. I really don't.
Look, I've lived in Australia since 1973, Eddie, and I can assure you that I often smile and sometimes laugh at the amount of old players who are past their best that have been reported, and they get on the plane and finish their career in the UK or in the south of France, not forgetting Catalan, of course. And if you look through the list, it's quite large. And it's often referred to, are you going to the retirement club, which the Aussies refer to as Super League?
That's incredible, because they allegedly, the NRL, want a slice of our game. So people keep telling me. They want to get involved. They want to take over. They want to help run the Super League.
I hope they do.
Well, what difference will that make to all these old fellas coming over and playing?
Well, they probably will just say that you can't.
No, they probably will just say you can go over and fill your boots and get your retirement money.
No, that is what has happened in the past, and I'm sure that they come up with something in regards to the fact, bring over young Australians. I've said it for years that both Super League and the NRL should have got together years and years ago and transferred players from both countries back here under the age of 19. In other words, give them an opportunity to see what it's like playing in another country. One of the most famous of ever was that, a man called Bobby Fulton, classified as one of the greatest players ever to pull on a boot. And they sent him as a young kid, before he even made the first grade at Manly Warringah, they sent him to Warrington. I can remember playing against him. I can remember the coach saying to me and the rest of the team, they've got a young 18-year-old kid coming from Australia. We went in at half-time. Warrington was, I think, 18-0 up. And the coach just said to us, I told you to stop this young kid, who at that time, after 40 minutes, had scored 2 tries and created another one. And we all had to admit we've tried, but we can't catch him.
Let's see what happens if the NRL do get involved. Just back to Rapana briefly. He is Hull's marquee player. A marquee player at 35 for 2025. Their overseas quota's now full. So there's another one, Aidan Caesar. Remember him? He's not going to be joining the Black and Whites now. I wonder where he'll end up.
Well, he's injured at the moment. And talking of the NRL, I must say that the last game of the season is West Tigers take on Parramatta. And whoever loses will finish up with the wooden spoon. They don't have relegation in Australia. They will be playing at Campbelltown Stadium. And guess what, Eddie? There is not one seat available. The Campbelltown Stadium, within 48 hours, sell out 17,500 fans to watch what is being classified as the Spoon Bowl between West Tigers and Parramatta.
Well, they know how to promote it, don't they? They know how to promote the game over there. And that's incredible. 17,500. We can't get 17,500 for a match at the top of the table over here. That's IMG's problem, Stevo. So here we go. Still nothing officially published as far as I can see. But the website, seriousaboutRugbyLeague.com, has reportedly seen the updated grading criteria published by the RFL. Changes include widening of a club's social media profile. That's what they want. Super League Plus is not included in the TV viewing figures. Frankly, no wonder, because mine pauses, clicks and bangs throughout, and it really is frustrating to watch, at least on my telly.
Well, buy a new television, Eddie. Stop being tight.
I'm supposed to have a brand new TV. But anyway, stadium requirements now include better facilities for broadcasters. The gantries have got to be bigger. If clubs own their own stadium, that can include that in their balance sheet submissions. Performance ratings are based on the last 3 years. On-field performance remains the basis for participation and the key to overall success. I'm told you can download this document on the totalrl.com website, but I think I've summarised the key points. Any comments about all that?
To me, it's just, I can't understand why all the league clubs have decided to agree with all this.
Isn't it just framing remember framing the future?
Oh.
Isn't it just framing the future rejigged from all those years ago? If I remember rightly, that was never published either, Stevo. At least the second framing of the future, never saw the light of day.
Well, what makes it worse is that evidently in what should have been out publicly is the fact that you cannot appeal.
No.
You can't, London, evidently I might be wrong, but evidently, according to the situation that has been, some of it being leaked, is the fact that there is no area for appeal. Now, to my way of thinking, how on earth can we run any business, any part of our life, if you don't have a chance to at least appeal?
Well, I'm no expert, Stevo, and neither are you on legalities, but, I mean, just let's think. London don't finish bottom. Is that the get-out-of-jail card? Do we have litigation coming forward? Because, as you say, the document apparently says clubs will not be allowed to appeal on their gradings.
I just find it very confusing. I'm sure that every fan does. Look, Lindsay Hoyle, who was the president of the Rugby Football League, has come out and said we should scrap all these things that we need to have before we can stay in rugby league. He said we should go back to promotion and relegation. Now, this is the man who at this point in time is the president of our game. And he's appealing. But will it do any good? I doubt it. In fact, It wouldn't surprise me, Eddie, if IMG knew who this guy was.
Well,
Never
I
mind
wonder.
Talking to him.
I wonder. I mean, what an opportunity missed that if they haven't spoken to Lindsay. The Speaker of the House of Commons, he's had stained glass windows with rugby balls put in, at the Speaker's house. This is a man who's steeped in rugby league, and he was talking after he watched Oldham lift the League One trophy at the weekend to gain promotion to the Championship. He spoke to Radio Manchester and he said, where's the aspiration for the players to make it to the top? Surely it's got to be about the players' ability to win promotion. It shouldn't be about money in the bank necessarily, or good standards. It has to be a combination of the two. It's got to be, he says, about clubs moving up and down. Do they listen to him? Do they listen to us? Do they listen to us?
Well,
listen to the fans? No.
It doesn't surprise me that nobody listens to us, but I know a lot of fans are not happy with the situation. And I've got to say, I've been proud of what the London Broncos have done. Now, here we have the president of the Rugby Football League appealing, but all the other clubs, according to IMG, there's no right to appeal.
I know it's Lindsay's own personal opinion,
Of
he
course,
says.
and
there
so
we
is
are.
ours.
Yes, of course, absolutely. But we would like clarity. I kept hearing that during the pandemic, that everybody wanted clarity from the government about what was going on with the lockdowns and all that sort of business. We want clarity about what is happening in the future. But something has become slightly clearer this week, Stevo. Magic Weekend will be played next year, and Newcastle has emerged as the strongest candidate to hold it again from all accounts.
And that's how it should be, Eddie. Now, to my way of thinking, I know early in the piece, one of the few things that came out from IMG was they wanted to get rid of Magic Weekend.
And the loop fixtures. And Magic Weekend is a loop fixture.
And now they're saying, yes, it will be played next year. Now, has someone appealed?
You can't appeal.
But someone has appealed and said, I think it might be a good idea if we keep Magic Weekend.
Well, it'll be played, we hope, on the August bank holiday weekend, but, capital but, it all has still to be confirmed.
Well, talking about confirmation that we don't get, Eddie, is that how about the rumour that is flying around that Yorkshire v Lancashire, Lancashire v Cumbria, Yorkshire v Cumbria is going to come back because, and this is only a rumour, the French at this point in time are not strong enough to test the players who are selected for England. Now, I played in those games years and years ago, and they were and all other players, they were the stepping stone to being selected for Great Britain. I think it's a good idea. I do hope that they are thinking about bringing it back.
Well, I'm not so sure about Cumbria, Stevo, but certainly Lancashire, Yorkshire, the War of the Roses, we are told, is being mooted as a possible comeback after 21 years in the wilderness. I knew this would please you. I knew you'd be delighted about this.
I am delighted. Look, young kids that are playing now, you want to have something to look to the future, to play at Wembley, to do grand final, etc. and so forth, and to be selected for your county. Look, the Australians, they copied it and called it the state of origin, and now it's the most important thing in all of Australia.
Thing is, Stevo, in England, people didn't go to the War of the Roses. They never turned up to watch. They didn't. 21 years it's been in the wilderness. It was played before then. And I know Barry and Terry, for instance, they played in the War of the Roses when Super League was first started. People weren't interested. They didn't want to go. They never went.
Yeah, but it wasn't advertised enough. It wasn't taken serious enough. I can remember a few coaches. One said that, we'll just go and instead of training, we'll go out and have a drinking session. I know that for a fact.
No, I can't. No, I'm not having that. I can't believe that.
Okay, I can assure you.
That's true. You're saying that's true?
Yeah. Instead of training, they met and said, "Well, well done. You've been selected," and they didn't take it serious, so they went to the nearest pub.
Well, I wonder why it's been in the doldrums for the last 21 years. Anyway, let's see if it comes back.
Well, you never know, Eddie. Maybe the influence from the NRL, who want to, I think they're after 49% share to help run the Rugby Football League, the Super League as we call it over here. Maybe that is one of the reasons why. Maybe they are looking at the fact that we might bring back that encouragement, that we might be able to. I mean, you're talking about they didn't get many big crowds of this, that, and the other. You look through our rugby league sort of calendar and look through how many fans turn up to some of the games anyway.
I know it needs promoting properly. If it comes back, it has to be promoted properly. And I would hope 21 years down the line, and going back way before that when you were just talking, the players these days, the coaches these days, far more professional. They wouldn't just go to the pub, surely, to prepare for a Lancashire Yorkshire War of the Roses.
Yeah,
if it's done properly.
And imagine, as I said to you, Eddie, that Campbelltown Stadium, 17,500 fans already paid for the ticket to see the spoon ball, as they call it, West Tigers and Parramatta. Remember way back when we had to go to Wakefield, and it was Wakefield Castleford, and the team that lost was relegated.
£1 million match, yeah.
It was a full house.
It was. I suppose you would say there, well, you are celebrating mediocrity, but it doesn't matter. It was a great day. It was a fantastic day. And I'm sure it will be at the weekend in Australia. I'm sure it will.
We televised it, didn't we? Remember? I can remember. And I'm thinking to myself, if that can come about by the two bottom sides, both here in this country and then they're doing that down under, someone's got to take hold of our game, Eddie, and hopefully, and I dread saying this, and hopefully the NRL are not messing around. All the rumours, all the suggestions are true that they want to get involved. Because when you watch what they do down under, and I hate to say it, it's wonderful to watch. The game's a lot better than ours. I hate saying that, but it is. It's promoted better, and we need help. Whether we like it or not, we need help.
Let me just end this week's podcast with another rumour. You're going to enjoy this one. There is talk of a Super League game being played in both Paris and Barcelona in 2026 as the Catalan Dragons celebrate their 20th anniversary of existence from 2006 and the 30th anniversary of the launch of Super League in their former selves as Paris Saint-Germain, as we will always remember that wonderful night in 1996. So you might be able to go to Paris in the springtime, Stevo, and you might be able to go to Barcelona in 2026. And we're going to heavily involved, I believe.
Oh la la.
I think that's French. What have you got to say in Spanish? Dos cervezas, por favor.
Buenos dias.
Oh, brilliant.
Look, dear me. But listen, at least they get a good crowd every home game, don't they?
They do, the Catalans. Yeah, they do.
So they're doing something right. Okay, they're in a bit of a mixed match at the moment in regards to getting top players and bringing youngsters through. But I'm sure Bernard Gosch has it all under control. He's the money man behind them, and he's the reason why we still have Catalans in Super League. And I do hope that they do nurture far more young French players.
I do hope that we nurture far more young British players in Super League as well and not turn to the veterans each and every season. It might be forlorn hope, Stevo, but we've put it out there again. And it's been great talking to you, great catching up and getting stuck into all the controversy and all the illegibilities and everything else. Let's see what happens. We will have to wait and see, as someone once said, Stevo.
I tell you what, you can't see me, but there are tears rolling down my cheeks. We need to grab hold of our wonderful game of rugby league. I keep saying it's the greatest game of all.
And we will be back talking about it in 7 days' time, all being well. Talk to you next week, Stevo. Thanks for the great entertainment again.
Take care, top man.